Hi, my name is Joe Guinan, and I'm the CEO of Advantage Futures. I'm joined today with Yasuo Mogi, the Chairman and CEO of Nissan Century. Thank you, Mogi-san.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you.
I just wanted to chat with you a little bit about your background in the futures business and the fantastic career you've had. You've been in this industry a long time. How did you come to land in the futures industry? How did you begin your career?
Yeah, during my time at the college, I was studying about international economy and recognizing the needs of the risk management for the development of the national economy of Japan. It's come to be my point to study more about risk management in the United States. That's actually caused me my participation and involvement with this industry.
And during your career, you've seen many transformations in our industry. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen?
Well, it's come to be a point that is Japan is one of the oldest experience and longest experience dealing with the derivative market since the 17th, 18th century, starting from Osaka rice futures contract. However, this development of the industry getting a little slower than what we have expected. But rather than rely on our historical background in Japan for the futures industry, actually that is the modernization of the futures market, particularly after 1950, it's come to be much more causing more impact towards to the needs of the economic development. Now one of my biggest things happening in this particular the industry is I was in the New York at 9/11, and subsequent to that is I have experienced rapid price fluctuation caused by the Japanese earthquake 4 or 5 years ago in eastern part of Japan. That's destroying the tremendous of the assets in Japan. However, that is through the futures industry that is we have successfully managed the risk applying to the national interest. That's come to be significant impact. Me to what I call respect the marketplace and activities in the industry.
In the United States, we like to fancy ourselves as being on the leading edge of things, and yet when it comes to electronic trading, Japan was a good 15 or 20 years ahead of the United States and ahead of the rest of the world with electronic trading. Does it seem to you like the rest of the world caught up, or how do you look at that?
I think so. In fact, that is initiation of the e-commerce or e-trading activities in Japan could be that it started earlier than any other country. Nevertheless, that is the development of the electric trading activities getting slower due to the activities and economic development in the past 2 decades. Japan now is actually the behind. However, that is the industrial development of the e-commerce and electric trading activities has been already catch up Japan. And I'm expecting that is the further development of the market itself is very much well supported by the development of the IT technology.
Now we look in Japan and we see in the past year the consolidation of Osaka and Tokyo Stock Exchange to form JPX. Interesting, not part of that consolidation is TOCOM. Do you think JPX could expand and include TOCOM as well?
Well, it's come to be a sudden serious discussion between the regulators due to the difference of the regulatory structure compared with the United States. The Japan regulatory system is applying more for the product group, like agricultural products under the Ministry of Agriculture, industrial product under the METI, and financial product under FSA.
Right.
So when we talk about the exchange migration, that is still we have a long time discussion since 10 years ago. We proposed to the cabinet in Japan go for the consolidation of exchange, but no specific development at this moment. Even though we come to be some progress and hoping that is at least that is consolidation of the clearinghouse come to be more realistic the picture in near future. However, that is I would like to use this opportunity to express my opinion to the regulators in Japan and also the market participants. Japanese regulators are required to listen more carefully what the industrial interest looks like. Market is open for the market participants, not for the regulators. So regulators should think about what will be the best possible way to develop the Japanese market. From my viewpoint, I couldn't see any opportunity or possibility to make a further development without consolidation of the regulatory structure, whereas we can operate the business under one set of the rules and regulation applying to all listed products in exchange.
So right now in Japan, you have, as you said, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, MIDI, oversees part of the industry. The Ministry of Agriculture oversees another part, and the FSA, of course, oversees the financial products. And you would suggest that maybe something like a Commodity Futures Trading Commission, one group overseeing the whole futures business in Japan would be.
That
make
could
sense?
be, that is my point, that is, we need to see the single regulatory structure in Japan to assist the development of the exchange. Answer to your question about the JPX, there are either that is acquisition or consolidation of TOCOM. I cannot say what will be the possibility looks like. However, that is what the industry they need, based on my understanding from the voice of the market participants. I think that is the regulators in Japan should recognize futures and option market is financial markets. It's not a commodity market. Even though they're trading gold, energy, and other products, which is commodities, however, that is the function of the futures market, nothing more than a financial market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned the consolidation of the clearinghouses, and I think long before the CME and CBT actually merged, the Board of Trade moved its clearing function to the CME, I think back in November '04. And so you would recommend consolidating the clearinghouses first?
Yes, that might be considered as a good way to take a step one.
Walk down the aisle.
That's right.
Now, in this era of zero rates, which the U.S. is getting tired of after 7-8 years, and Japan has a lot more experience with, do you think that era of zero rates will ever end in Japan?
My expectation is going to be ended by next year. I hope. That is we have seen that sudden possibility of the inflationary economy. Zero rate is caused by the deflationary economic environment. So I think that is the zero rate, the interest rate will be ended soon to pick up the more active interest markets.
In Japan, you still have the deflationary impact of a slowing China potentially hurting you next year, though.
Mm-hmm. I expect that we may have sudden impact towards the next year. So we may see that is zero rate situation maybe the beginning or half of next year, but hoping that we were able to see sudden pickup towards the end of next year.
I hope. With the FCM community in Japan, the era of zero rates is also very challenging. How do you see the current opportunity for Nissan Century, and other FCMs. Is this a good environment? Is it still a challenging environment? Will it get better?
As far as I'm concerned, that development of the XCM communities in Japan is likewise United States. Numbers of the clearing firms has been declined. Numbers of the population in the industry has been declined. But nevertheless, that is there is the volume of taking example in the commodities. We hit the bottom, I hope and I believe, and start climbing up or increase the volume in commodity side. And also that is there is southern Chinese impact recently caused in China. Uncertainty of the Chinese regulatory environment and their action may cause sudden interest on Japanese market, shifting the trade from China to Japan, particularly in commodities.
Oh, wow. What else could you see that might help the commodities business and the futures business in Japan? Is there a particular product that you think might gain interest or might gain volume?
Yeah, it is important for Japan to obtain the stable supply of the energy. I think that is the introduction of LNG contract, either on the TOCOM or other markets, or maybe OTC clearing to begin with, come to be very important. And we're expecting wide participation on that particular market could be expected. This is more interest in Asia as a whole rather than Japan as only the country. So it is Asian interest rather than Japanese interest.
So increased energy products in Japan.
Yeah, and also providing the stable supply of the energy. We have been facing a shortage of the electric supply and uncertainty of the price of the utilities.
Yeah, that was probably not helped out by after the earthquake. I know Japan's probably trying to decrease its reliance on nuclear energy.
That's come to your point, yes.
Yeah. And I know when we look at natural gas over here in the United States, it's so cheap, and I think it sells for multiples of that price in Japan. Perhaps having more of a market for and more transportation of liquid natural gas will help in time too.
I think so too.
Mogi-san, you've been very involved in the futures industry in Japan, and you're vice chairman of FIA Japan for quite a while. In your career and with all that you've done, would you recommend this to a young person now, a 25-year-old young man or young woman? Would you recommend going into the futures business, or do you think the industry's best days are behind us?
Well, I'm very much encourage those the young active ladies and gentlemen to participate with this particular industry because of the as I mentioned earlier, that is the development of the economy of the nation cannot be realized without the proper risk management, particularly in Japan. So I really encourage that those young people to study more about that is the function of the futures markets or derivative markets to mitigate the risk applying to the Japanese economy.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you
for
much
joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.